Oh, do you ever wonder if you're just a bit too disgusting, to be honest, as a human, for another human to ever want to partner with you? Partner. I say this because I just licked, okay, this is the things where you're like, why would you say that on the internet? But apparently I'm going to. I say that because I just licked the phone where the camera is so that I could then use the inside of my shirt to like polish the camera because it was blurry. Probably it was blurry because yesterday, I'm looking for something. I'm looking for my water because yesterday I was in the morning. Hi. Hello on replay as well. Let me know if you're there. Yesterday I was in the magnesium pool, you know, like the float tank where you just float around. I just bob around the edges. I like to play a game of just like bobbing off the wall. I don't go in one of those coffin float tanks. I can't with that. I go in a little pool at City Cave. For anyone who's in Australia, installing my own sparkling water taps at my office, best decision ever. Maybe aside from buying the office, maybe aside from decorating the office. All right, we're in a mood today. So I had the phone in the magnesium pool, not in the pool, but you know what I mean. And then it's got like crusty magnesium salt all over it. Hence why I had to lick it just now in order to clean it. But I probably didn't have to lick it. Welcome to my show. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the conversation. We're going to talk about some things. I was just saying to one of my sisters in Christ, friends, clients in the DM chat, we were talking, she messaged me off my story about the branding for Supernatural Creator Academy, which is my new signature course. I'm going to talk to you about that in a moment. Prepare yourself. Prepare thyself, because this is going to wake and shake you, what I'm going to say. It's going to excite you. It's going to remind you of some home truths about you. I will say that with certainty, depending on who you are. If it's you, then it is you. And if it's not you, that's fine. You can sit here and chit chat if you want. Yeah, she messaged me to say she thinks it's the best branding I've ever had. Okay, let's go to tripod. There it is. And I might agree with that. The branding is phenomenal. You can go watch my stories, or you can go to thekatrinaruthshow.com/Supernatural Creator Academy and check it out. It's my new signature course. We are on launch right now. We're going to begin September 16th. And right now for the launch sale is $1,000 off, which applies, you know, a direct $1,000 off the upfront rate. If you do upfront, you're always also going to go to bonus one-on-one with me. But the $1,000 offer applies over the payment plan option as well, if you wanted to do payment plans, so just work it out over that time. And right now, if you join between September 3 and 6, rather than chit-chatting in your own mind about it and taking your sweet time and then joining at the last minute, you'll get a bonus one-on-one for joining between September 3 and 6. So you could just stack those one-on-ones up if you're smart about it. And then you might even go VIP, which is a whole different thing. But let's talk before we get to that, shall we? So Holly said she thinks it's my best branding ever. And I was saying, yeah, because it's all like graffiti. And I got my blanket. Don't worry. We're getting cozy. Who else knows? Like, who actually understands the secret of why I really always sit with a blanket? Because it's summer right now. Well, no, it's not spring, but it might as well be summer. It's the Gold Coast. And I always say I sit with a blanket to be cozy, but who understands the real reason? It's because otherwise I'm accidentally just going to let bits of myself hang out that shouldn't be hanging out on the internet, because I just forget my deportment classes, you know, when I'm on a live stream. So, hello, good evening, good afternoon. If you don't know me, hello, introduce yourself, feel free. I'm glad you're here. I'm Kat, or Katrina Ruth. Ruth is my middle name. I'm going to get up again. I'm going to get a cushion now. We'll get there eventually. Those of you who know me know that once I finally stop moving around and adjusting my hair and doing my lip gloss and getting cushions and coffees and drinks, and then oftentimes kicking over one of the cushions or coffees or drinks, that we're going to drop into a flow thing. It is probably going to shift things inside of you that need shifting, because that's just what happens. And thank you, Lord, that you put your words in my mouth and I don't have to figure it out. And really what I'm here to do is to help you remember who you always were and then simply be it. Thank you for saying hello. I see Judy there, Aston's there, Katrina is there, Lindy's there. Who else is there? Tell me you're there on replay. Oh, yes, I know who you are. I can see your little face bubble. Okay, so we're going to talk and some things are going to come up. And I hope we're just going to shift and shake some things right off of you, like annoying, spiritual cobwebs that are a little bit more treacherous than annoying, if we're honest about it. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring you back to a place of certainty that you actually get to operate from in your business, in your creative work. If you have creative work, if you don't have creative work, I don't know why you're here, but you're welcome to stay. Maybe you'll find out you do have creative work and you didn't know about it. So we're going to do that, and we'll do whatever else happens. Thank you, Lord. And what was I going to say? Oh, Holly messaged me to say the branding of Supernatural Creator Academy is my best branding ever, which it might just be. You can go to thekatrinaruthshow.com/Supernatural Creator Academy afterwards and check it out. Or you can go to katrinaruthministries.com/Supernatural Creator Academy. Both links will work. We had them redirect. But I said to her, it's like the original cat type vibes is why she said that, and why I agreed, because it's like graffiti vibes, and I'm looking a little bit extra, and a lot of bright colors. Do you know that my first business coach ever, one of my first business coaches told me I was using too many bright colors and I needed to switch everything to corporate navy. That blue that, I don't know, BP probably uses. And that nobody was ever going to take me seriously with all these bright colors, and that I needed to change it to corporate navy. I think it's called corporate navy. I think it's an actual color name, corporate navy. This is a long time ago. This was about 2005, maybe. Right before I started online, which was 2006. And he also said, I must have kept him in my life for some godforsaken reason, because I remember he also said, which must have been a few years later based on the branding, I had one of my first online websites was called Woman Incredible, and it was when I was in health and fitness, and the tagline was fitness, motivation and fat loss for driven women who just want more. Katrina, not this Katrina who's watching knows that. She remembers that. Plenty of people here in my online space have been around since that era. Woman Incredible. Fitness, motivation and fat loss for driven women who just want more. And he said, you can't say for driven women who just want more. Oh my gosh, should we get up and have a Woman Incredible nostalgic moment, even though I just settled myself? Because I know that my original Woman Incredible canvas banner is sitting on the floor over here, because I just keep it here for nostalgic reasons. There's a little stain on it. That was my logo that I designed nearly 20 years ago now. You can see that I'm still very proud of it and I'm very nostalgic about it. But it was like, me, okay, all right, I've grown up a bit since then. Nobody needs to say anything untoward. She had a phone and she was doing way too many things and holding too many things. She had a newspaper as well. We're going back a while. I love this logo still. I have so many feelings about this. Woman Incredible was a movement, y'all. That was how to do business. Before I knew how to do business, I rolled out of the womb knowing how to do business, please. I was running memberships and communities, paid memberships since the age of 8 years old. I kid you not. Many stories I could tell. So I know how to do community. But that was my first crazy, wild, successful online business going back over, a decade and a half or so. And it was such a movement of women though. Why? Because I wasn't worrying about all the different things you're meant to do or be in order to be successful online, was I? No, I wasn't. Largely because the online industry hadn't really been invented yet and there was nobody there to say what the rules were. So I just did what I felt like. And you know what else I did? I blurted out bright colours all over the place, which I was told not to do by my business coach. But he also told me to use corporate navy, and he also told me you can't just say about Woman Incredible, he said, you can't just say fitness, fat loss and motivation for driven women who just want more, because it's an unfinished sentence, is what he said. He said, what do they want more of? You can't just say driven women who just want more. More what? And I was like, stupid question. What do you mean more what? More everything. Isn't that obvious? More of whatever it should be, whatever that is for the person. Amen? Is that not obvious to anybody here? If it's not obvious, I can tell you're probably wasting your time being here right now. But you're welcome to say something might light up inside of you. Can I just get some feedback on that 20 years later or however long? Is that not obvious? To us? This actually speaks so much to everything I want to talk about today that's just bubbling away inside of me and is definitely not possibly going to all come out because I'll go on to 25,000 other tangents and we'll go wherever we're meant to go. But Holly said the branding for Supernatural Creator Academy is the best I've ever had. And it's not more for the sake of it, is it though? See, I'm tangenting already. It's not like more of every possible thing. It's more of whatever it is that's meant to be true for you. Exactly. It's obvious. Thank you, Judy. We know. We know who we are. The rest of the world doesn't need to know who we are. But I was a bit younger at the time, and I had hired this guy and I was paying him $700 a month at the time, which was nearly 20 years ago. And it was a pretty big stretch at the time. And it was a big investment for me. That was like whatever it was, a significant amount that I had committed to for a 12-month period. And so I was like, oh, okay. I sort of started to make some adjustments. I actually then added to the tagline to try and make it make sense according to what he said. I was in that stage of business where I believed that people who maybe you hire, or just people who are older, or anyone that had any kind of authority figure status to them, either self-proclaimed or I'd granted it to them, whether or not I should have is irrelevant, but that's what I done. Then I will be like, oh, well, they know better than me. It took me a while to get to a point in business where I realized the way that I want it to be is actually something to lean into, and that it's not crazy, it's not selfish, it's not made up. I mean, we're all just making up whatever we're putting out into the world. It took me a while to get to where I just started to unapologetically make a stand for the way I wish it could be is the way it should be, not just in visuals or bright neon colors or apparently unfinished sentences, which I did revert it back to the way it was. Thank you very much, in case you're wondering. I also actually stopped working with that guy after about the 4th month, and then I believe I had to pay the remainder of the whole 12 months still. So it was a good lesson, I appreciate the lesson. I'm grateful for the lesson, because I think that anytime you work with somebody, or you do have somebody in your life who really, tells you that you're wrong being you and that this is the proper way to be you, thank you very much. So you could look at it like, oh my gosh, I wasted that money or whatever. The money I spent on that guy at that time, all those years ago, was minuscule as compared with many other monies I spent after that with many different people who then told me how to be me in a way that wasn't at all aligned. And the amount of things I walked away from, honestly, no joke, would probably add up to about $500,000 all up. There was one significant chunk of around 200K with a guy over in the US who was going to help me to get New York Times bestseller status, which, if you're not familiar with, is definitely something you pay your way into. I guess there are some exceptions, but they're rare. So I hired him. I jumped through every number of hoops possible to become his client. There were a lot of genuine hoops. It wasn't a scarcity tactic, because he had a 100% success rate with his clients. So you can't just pay your way in. You still had to pull something out of your butt in order to do that. But it was such a just distasteful experience that I really didn't realize how it worked until I was almost kind of too far into it and I didn't know what to do about it. But I can remember sitting there in this room with him and a bunch of his team in LA. There was a guy in the room who Google paid $1 million a month to in order to tell them how to Google better. It was a pretty high level room. And I had 2 of my staff from Australia out there with me. And the name of the book title, I'll tell you that in a moment. This is where it makes it blindingly hysterical / sad. I was explaining to this guy a few different things that I wanted to happen in my life. One of them was that I wanted to get all this tattoo work done. It was before I had that. I had little tattoos that were not visible, but I was explaining that to him, and they were doing this whole kind of fame plan, and they wanted to turn me into a big talk show host in the US. I had crazy red hair at the time. I was in my very extra era, and they had this real kind of thing around the crazy redhead Aussie and, how it was going to be a thing, which maybe it would have been. And I said about the tattoos, and he was like, oh, no, I don't think that that's going to be okay. We're going to have to discuss how America would respond to that. We're going to have to discuss how the red carpet would respond to that. And I remember thinking, but what about Ruby Rose? And I was kind of like, right, well, I am going to do that. It's not based on whether or not you think it's good for my fame or book plan, but I was sort of like, oh, okay. And then the next thing was he wanted me to commit to a 3-month book tour in the US, which I was excited about, but I was like, well, obviously I'll have to bring my kids. This was years ago. The kids were really young. And I'll have to bring my nanny. And he's like, oh, well, we would have to talk about whether or not America sees you as somebody who has a nanny. And they were doing this very high level targeting stuff, right? They were targeting Chicago, Dallas, whichever 4 major cities. They had all the political stuff involved. I didn't even understand what they were doing, but it was very high level targeting. And yeah, they weren't certain about whether or not America could see me with a nanny. And I was like, but I do have a nanny. It's a real thing. Like, I had a nanny part-time when the kids were little. And as if I can go on a book tour with young kids without support as a single mom, right? I'm like, we can't discuss whether or not America sees me having a nanny. I do have a nanny, so they're gonna have to see it. This was like 2 things out of a series of things where he kept essentially saying, I need to make this adjustment in order to fit the formula, in order to be successful, in order to be, you know, the character that they were molding me into. The title of the book was Screw the Rules, Just Do You. And I did not realize the irony of that until months later, after I'd already sacked the guy, which is probably a story I shouldn't tell, but that did not go down well. And I was at dinner with some friends. I was at a dinner party here in Australia, and I was telling the story. And then one of the guys at dinner says, well, what was the book title, Kat? And I said the title, and everyone just burst out laughing. And I was like, yeah, I didn't get it. You know what? I went home after that dinner. I'd had too much wine at that dinner. I went home to my then sub-penthouse apartment that I used to have down overlooking the ocean. Some of you remember it. And I wrote one of the most ranty, angry blogs I've ever written. I think I used an image from the Rage Against the Machine image. Something like that. You could probably find it. I was furious. I just wrote this ranty blog. I didn't name anything or anybody. I didn't give anything away, but I then almost got legally attacked about this blog. It was a whole story. The things that occur in the online journey. The things that occur in the journey of coming back to who you always were. That's actually what I'm talking about today. So Holly said that branding's amazing. The Supernatural Creator Academy branding, it's so cool. I love it. It's just a vibe of Kat being Kat. Sorry, Mr. Man, that 20 years ago told me you're using too many bright colours, nobody's going to take you seriously. Well, some people don't take me seriously, I suppose, and that's fine. But some people actually get quite a lot out of what I do. And since then, a multi-8-figure coaching business did unfold via all my bright colours and random throwings out of words that I, chuck on the internet, not to mention hundreds of courses, 60 plus books published, so many epic, cool clients and friends that I've made all around the world, clients in over 120 countries, thousands upon thousands of people who have gone through my programs and courses over the years. If you're new here, that's a little bit of my backstory. This is my new IG page. I walked away from most of my bigger pages and that kind of thing when I fully came back to God. Now I'm like, I don't know if I should resurrect some of those pages, because I was doing that thing again of I have to make sure I'm very, in my exact proper new thing. And I said to Holly in the DMs before, I was like, yeah, about the branding. I'm like, yeah, I just stopped making it wrong to be me. Oh no, I titled the live stream, whatever I said to her, because I said, it didn't work when I was trying to not be me. And I meant that in terms of I'm into the vibe that I'm into with graffiti and wild colors and being all over the place, but that's just the visuals of it. How I express and also how I write, speak, create, and coach is it's going to go where it goes. It's going to come out how it comes out. But one thing I've learned over time, which I think might relate to some of you here today, and which is really, if this is for you, then this is why I'm speaking to you. It didn't work. It doesn't work when I don't actually just let it be a continual, beautiful unfolding and flow. Now, when I say a beautiful unfolding and flow, make no mistake, it can be messy, ugly, it can be word vomit. It can be all over the place. It can be making, a fool of yourself accidentally on the internet because you just didn't have a filter and you said the things you're not meant to say. I mean, for me, I was such a loose cannon 10 years ago on the internet, but it's also a time when my business really blew up. But I was so aggressive and ranty. Now, I'm glad that many aspects of that girl have been refined in a correct, aligned, spiritually true way. But what didn't need refining and what doesn't ever need refining out of you is the original character of who God actually made you to be. The thing is, what we'll do in our own will away, when we're left to our own devices, is we'll create a kind of hurtling, slightly off the tracks at a top speed, destination brick wall version of ourselves. So a counterfeit, basically. And oftentimes there'll be a lot of the original that's meant to be there present in that counterfeit. Can anyone relate to this? So you'll have if this is where you're at or where you've been at, then what you'll realize, you'll have an awareness that, but I am meant to be like continually creating, or how do I stop just changing my mind because I have this idea and then this idea and then this idea, or what's wrong with me? Like I don't follow through because now I just want to do this new thing instead. And then you'll have flashes of genius in your art, in your words, maybe in your courses, or perhaps things you say to client, and you might have pretty frequent flashes of genius, and you know that's not you, right? Like that's not just your mind coming up with that stuff, and maybe you don't know where it's coming from, and that might be a conversation that needs to be had because we want to, be certain that we're being led by the right spirit and not being influenced supernaturally by any manner of, any number of unclean spirits, because that is what will happen if you're not being led by the Holy Spirit. It's not maybe, that's what will happen. But then through it all, there's this kind of like, I've got to slow down. How many times have you said to yourself, I've got to slow down? I need to be more organized. I'm too chaotic. I'm too all over the place. I'm messy. I'm not a proper grown-up. I'm not a proper entrepreneur. I'm lazy. If people really knew this or that about me, what's wrong with me? Why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing that? Why do I somehow have this kind of like delusional level belief around what I'm going to do, but then in the small, like the day-to-day of it, I don't apparently do anything that I think I'm meant to do? All of that is so typical. I mean, it's human typical, but it's so typical with the high level creative genius. And I don't say that cavalierly, I hope. And I also don't say it to like big note myself or you or anyone or be like, yes, queen. I'm not doing that. I'm talking about the fact that you actually have been given a gift, and it's a precious treasure, and it's a gift from God to express things in a way that nobody else can express it that way. And you're what I've called over the years, and I don't know if I love this wording or not, but maybe this is one of the things I need to not actually throw out and make bad or wrong, because over the years what I've often called it is your particular brand of madness. And I mean that in a good way. I mean it in a way where it doesn't make sense to other people, and it doesn't even make sense to your own mind or your own, certainly not to your own idea of whatever formula you think you should be fitting in with today, right? So your particular brand of creative genius, your particular brand of the way you see things, your particular brand of what other people might think is crazy or messy, that was put in you for a reason. The way you would express it, the colors you would use, the things that feel cool or fun or interesting for your vibe, like your style, I don't mean your fashion style. Maybe that fashion style could be part of it for sure, but your style of expression in your words, in how you would do a video, in how you might actually converse on your stories if you were being you rather than some kind of little fembot, fempreneur, whatever, the right way is to do it right now. Your style, the thing that makes you you, your unique brand of like full colored crazy, let's call it that. I don't know if that's wrong or bad, but that's what I'm going to call it, because that's how it feels to me. It's that way for a reason. Now you, like me and like many of my clients and friends, you may have hurtled at top speed down the wrong freaking train tracks for some number of years or even decades, and essentially create like a counterfeit version of who you're really here to be, right? But what's confusing about that is there'll be these flashes of genius and flashes of certainty and these moments in time where you have these like ridiculous dreams and, things that you see in the spirit, and you just like believe it and you have a certainty or an excitement. But then meanwhile, you come back down to earth and it's like, bam, somehow you got through another day and you didn't even manage to do anything, right? So then you just think, oh my gosh, like I'm actually a crazy person. And maybe you smack talk yourself quite a lot, like what's wrong with me and all that stuff I said earlier. But it's confusing because the bit that you were maybe missing is that at some point, you're going to need to come into agreement with the fact that you were made the way you were made. You were made the way you were made. Now, to understand what that means, or to figure out you, like understanding our own true identity, is a lifelong journey, A, and B, the more that we like navel gaze or look within and try and understand ourselves and obsess about ourselves, then the more that we're definitely not understanding anything that we actually need to understand, because we were not put here on this earth to like repeatedly look at this whole thing and try and hash it out and figure it out. And in fact, if you're like me, and Judy says I'm describing her, I think I'm probably describing myself. I mean, I am, and I'm describing many women here who will watch this on replay or watching it right now, and you can let me know if that's you, and maybe some guys as well. The thing is, you might know this from experience. I know this from experience. The more you try to figure yourself out and your own needs or your own desires or what's right, like what you should do, how you should build your business, how you should live stream, how you should create a course, what you should sell, how you should sell it, how you're going to get known, how you're going to make money. You can do this in ministry as well, right? Like what you try and figure out your giftings. You try and figure out the correct, appropriate, proper, holy way that also fits within whichever church community you move in of how you should be expressing that, or what's right for you to say, or what's right for you to wear, or any other different thing. The more that we continually try to figure stuff out, we actually get more in the tangleweed of it. We get more confused, and it's very self-absorbed. And so it takes our focus off where it should be. And where our focus should be is first and foremost God, and then secondly, what is he leading you on today, like as a follow-on to that. And the way that you're actually going to come to understand your true identity, your path of destiny, and the way that you should be going, flowing, walking, what you should be sharing with the world and how it should be coming out is by simply looking to God, looking to truth, and looking to what is the next one thing that is true for me to do right now. And as far as how it comes out and what's appropriate or not appropriate, or whether or not it fits the formula, if you stop trying to figure out how to make it work and figure out how to try and get it out, and you just let it out the way it comes out, and nobody had ever told you that that's too many bright colors, or nobody wants to whatever, or you shouldn't tell people at the start of your live stream that you just licked your phone in order to clean the camera. If you didn't think about all of that and you just let it come out, do you know what will happen? Well, I can tell you what will happen because it's exactly how I built my business. What happened for me is a multiple 8-figure coaching business where I was able to impact and reach people all around the world. But better than that, a million times to infinity better than that, what happened for me was I actually learned about who I am by being on the process of being who I was. And that's actually what brought me fully back to God, which is where I belong and where I'm meant to be and where I believe we all belong. I found God by continually, well, I grew up with God in my life, but I found true relationship with God by continually simply saying yes to the true thing that was in front of me in that moment. Now, I found a lot of false truth along the way, as do most people. But the thing about being somebody who seeks the supernatural is that if you're really seeking truth and you're desperate to find truth and you want to live in alignment and in truth and you actually understand, like you believe, do you believe? Deep in your core, you believe that there is a true way, that there is truth, and that you have a sense for it. You believe you have a sense for it. You can feel it. You can sense it, right? You can sense when you're on path. You can sense when you're off path. If you're that kind of a person and you're seeking, well, you're going to find truth in the end. And part of what you're going to find in that truth is your true identity. Now, I don't think any of us are ever going to get to a point where we can like box up our identity and be like, here's the entire list. Here you go. Here's the laminated version, now complete. We know everything about this person, Your Honor. I don't think that's the mission, is it? I think actually it's a really dangerous trap that without God at the center, we fall into a trap of continually trying to figure ourselves out, heal ourselves, understand ourselves, break through to ourselves, reveal ourselves. It's exhausting. It's actually crazy, like proper crazy, because you're just turning in circles in the same little thing. And the reason why you know you're not in the path of real truth is because you still need more. You're always looking for more. You're never done. You never filled up, you never complete. So it's not about trying to figure out the whole list of who you are. That being said, a lot of the time, you did actually know certain things about who you are and what you're here to do in the world, or maybe the way in which you would do business, express yourself, share what's inside of you. If you will look back, you'll realize you did know the whole time. Because if you're a creator, a high-level creator, meaning someone who just continually has something inside of them that when it comes out, and if you're honest, you know that you have an ability to write or express or create or make art that is quite like supernaturally wow. It's beyond the norm, yeah? What you're going to realize is that it was correct the first time. Maybe not what you said or what you made or what you created per se, but the way of you being you, the way it was before you learned the hoops to jump through or the rules or what's appropriate or what the paint by numberpreneur kids are doing in their class, because they're not crazy creators and they actually need their paint by numbers. And I'm not trying to slur anyone. I'm referencing the fact that for some people, their genius is in the behind the scenes stuff. It's in the tech stuff maybe, or the numbers and the tracking and that kind of a thing. And they don't want to make content. That they want to know how to do like the minimal amount of content and just plug it into a thing and then send everybody to the same recorded webinar and create one program and sell it on repeat, or maybe like 3 if they have to. And they want AI to write the program anyway. I'm not talking to those people. I can't help you if that's who you are. I don't know, if you're getting something out of this, that's great, but please don't join my stuff, because that's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to those, for us, it's like not breathing to not create. And the truth is, as a creator, as a messenger, as somebody who is put here to pour forth a thing, if you try and squish yourself into the paint by numbers box of entrepreneurialism or ministry or life or your industry or whatever it is, and you don't recognize and hold fast to the fact that you are here to express, to share, to pour forth a thing, and that you would be that person 1,000 years ago or 100 years ago, and you would have still been able to do it without all these bells and whistles on the internet. So the fact that it, exists here, or you would have had that call to do it, right? Whether or not you were able to do it, but you would have had the call to. The fact that right now here, we have all these things on the internet that apparently we can use to get our message out there and to position ourselves in a way where people want to follow us, pay us, learn from us or whatever, does not remotely mean you should use any of those things. You should selectively use the ones that assist you in being you. And you should use them only in a way that is true to you actually showing up and doing your job today. What is your job today? If it was spirit-led and you were never told what the right way is to be an entrepreneur, a creator, a course creator, a coach, a leader, a teacher, or a woman that just has all these random dreams and colors and mayhem and mess inside of her head and just has a desire in her heart to get things out, and who has a conversation with somebody anywhere, any place, any time, and can just see into their spirit and understand things about them and has a discernment and gets a download and says something that activates or changes that person. If you were that, then what would you do? What would you do with online business, online ministry, online content creation, showing up, creating? I'm here to tell you that there's a different way. That's what I've been teaching actually my whole life, since I was a little girl, in different ways. And I've been teaching it in some sort of a way online for nearly 20 years. And you know what? I'm still learning. I keep falling back into patterns. Like, why did I hire that book guy? Why did I hire any number of different people over the years to tell me how to do a better job of being me? I don't know, just insecurity and being human and falling into the trap of thinking somebody else knows better than me. And of course, there's many people in our lives that we are here to learn from. But in the end, nobody knows better than you what is true for you, apart from God, right? Nobody knows better than you what is right, aligned, and true for you about how you show up. Like, no human person. No mentor, no coach, no bestie, no sister, in or out of Christ, not even a spouse or a partner can feel what you feel in your spirit. So for each of us, we're going to have to, at a certain point, learn to be in that dance with God, that dance with our own spirit, that dance of, like, with our work as well. I would actually say that, with our creative work. And we're going to have to look away from all of the rules and all of the things that we're meant to do and let it fade out. And man, I find it hard. I find it so hard, because I'll jump on Instagram or anywhere, and I actually was thinking to myself the other day, I need to clean out my feed again. I need to unfollow some people who, not their fault, they're awesome, but some people who, for whatever reason, I'll have a little trigger response, unconscious a lot of the time, where I'll start adjusting or filtering myself, like, oh, maybe I should use more muted colors. Like, isn't that the most random of irrelevant things in the world, almost? If you're a visual artist, you're probably horrified at that statement. But I'm a writer. I'm not a visual artist, but maybe I am. I mean, I created this. I didn't do it. Gosh, I'm not that talented. Not with that. But it was my vision, the whole, everything here, which is pretty cool. But I'll look at people's Instagrams, I'll be like, maybe I need more pastels. I should do like green nature colors. So visuals, that just gets me for some reason.
Is it stupid? Like, should I unfollow people because their visuals inadvertently influence me? Maybe I need to toughen up. Maybe I need to back myself more that I can choose what's right for me. Maybe. But also it's more than that. It's the fact that I'm very random. I'm all over the place. I'm a little bit extra. I'm a little bit too much. I don't make sense in most people's eyes. I can be super hypey one day and do like 100 stories, and then I can just go MIA for days on end because I'm not in the vibe of talking to any of you. I can pour out like 18 new courses in a 2-week period sometimes, and then, I don't know, I was going to say nothing for weeks. That doesn't really happen. But I don't fit the formula. I don't do it right. So I've had to learn to unsubscribe from that viewpoint though. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I know that it's true for me to be me. I'm not down talking myself right now, but I'm saying some of the things that I still would battle with if I would allow myself to. I have to repeatedly affirm and pronounce and proclaim over myself who God says I am. I literally noticed when I woke up this morning that I was thinking about some random thing I did yesterday, like in business or whatever, and I noticed that my first thought on waking was, oh, you did that wrong. You should have done it the other way. I was like, oh my gosh, no. I didn't do it wrong. I did it the way that I did it. I actually didn't do anything wrong. But it was just that questioning and doubt. Like, oh, well, maybe you should have whatever. You made the wrong choice. You know, that voice, you got to watch it. You got to take the Bible says, take your thoughts captive. You got to take them captive. Lock them up and throw away the key. Give them to God. And then some thoughts you actually got to take captive and then allow them to come to fruition and flourish. And those are the thoughts where you go, you know what? I would actually just love to rant on about such and such thing right now and ramble on a live stream for 40 minutes about whatever pops out of my head and then invite people to join my academy. But maybe you don't even and you should take that thought captive and do it and take it captive in a different way. But a lot of the time, you know what happens is you don't even know that you would love to do that because you wouldn't even give yourself permission to just roll with whatever's flowing out of you because the internet has so ingrained it into you that there's a proper way to grow your business, to make money, to grow your life, to live your life, to be a woman, to freaking hold your head up, to breathe. So it is really honestly a constant mission to not look to the world to tell you who you are. Amen? That's just some straight up basic, biblical principles that we all need to live by that I believe are powerful for anyone, regardless of what your belief system might be. Why would you look to the world to tell you who you are? Is that working for you? But it's a bit of a thing, that we will gradually kind of adapt to the environment around us. So what's the environment? Which mentoring containers are you in that you might need to walk out with, even if you do got to pay the whole rest of the year like I did? Or more relevantly, probably, which stuff are you telling yourself? What's on your list right now for this week? What do you think you have to do in order to finally be the person who you actually already are? Because that person, you already are her. You know how to be her. Guess what? You might not know all the ins and outs, all the tech things, or I don't know, like all the ins and outs of what you can do or how it's going to work. But you know how to open your mouth and be you. You know how to express a thing, share a thing, say a thing, create a thing. You know how to help people with whatever it is that you do. And you know in your heart of hearts whether you're put here to create. You might not know every different thing you're meant to create, but if you're waking up in the morning and going to bed at night and there's a fire inside of you that's not being stoked because instead you're telling it not yet, not time, and not like that, and meanwhile you're going over there to try and prod at the dead flames and the death and the dry, cold coals of a business or a life that you were never put on this earth to build, then at some point you're going to need to have a wake-up call, pull the emergency cord on that train and say, stop, get off, I'm accidentally caught the train for the wrong life, and I was put here to pour forth a thing and to do it on repeat. And the fact that the whole rest of the online industry thinks it's about, I don't know, one course, one program, one way, and exactly how we dance on our reels has nothing to do with what I meant to do. You're gonna have to give in to being you at some point. Now you want to be planted, spiritually, led right, not just like eyes and doors and spirit open to every different possible idea or thought or influence or entity of the spirit realm. That's for sure. That's the dangerous part. That's the counterfeit version. That's where we get pushed and pulled all over the place. But as a creator, we're actually meant to flow all over the place, but it's a held flow. Do you know what I mean? And it comes down to knowing who you are, whose you are, and simply saying, yeah, you know what? Yes, I actually have a knowing, and it's not my just feelings like emotions, even though that may, be part of it. Emotions will follow truth eventually, at least. But I have a sense and a knowing inside of me. It's like the world is right when I write, or it's like the world is right when I speak. Or there's a filling up within me that just doesn't come from any other place when I do my work in this way. Or what I would really love to talk about is such and such. Or what I feel like God is just putting on my heart is such and such. And maybe like me, if you look down the line of your life or the coming years of your life, or you look down the line of your business, your expression as a creator, as a messenger, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a teacher, a guide, all of these things, maybe when you look down that line and you just let everything fade now, what I hope you don't see, and we're not trying to see something that is like what the world tells us. So when we look down that line, you don't see that the story you'll tell is that you properly started to jump through the right little hoops on Instagram or wherever, and your stuff looks like them, sounds like them, is just another version of them, whoever or whatever them is. Maybe when you look down the line, you see a lot of color or a lot of vibrancy. Maybe you see dozens of books or hundreds of podcast episodes, or a show where you're just kind of like talking about this and laughing and playing, and then it's deep and then it's profound and then it's whatever. Or maybe you see a big project that you haven't even said yes to. Maybe you see visual art. Maybe you see just thousands or tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people all around the world reading your words, reading your books, listening to words that come through you, or maybe feeling seen or heard for the first time because somebody actually just started to say it in the way that it was put inside of them, and it met another person, spirit for spirit, in that way that things just can't be manufactured to do. Is that making any kind of sense to anybody? So guess what's happening? I have not done a new launch in a very long time. I've had some smaller different things I've been doing. I have my low-cost membership ongoing. I have private mentoring behind the scenes, which you can message me at any time to ask what I've got going on there, and we'll see if there's anything that's a fit. That's pretty for the extra people who want to be really held to the fire. But I have created something new. I was lying on the floor a couple weeks ago praying and then kind of like resting, and God just put a couple words into my head and gave me the initial vision. And then a few days later I sat down and I prayed and I just read it out the way it came out, and I didn't think about it and I didn't question or doubt. Okay, I did question and doubt a couple days later or a day or two later, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll change it. I was like, maybe not, because no, it came out the way it was meant to come out. But when I sat down to start writing this, I sat on the couch just there, like against the warehouse roller door, and I sat there for quite a while and did any number of other different things that were not important at all, because I was thinking, I don't know if I really want to write this up. Resistance, resistance gets the artist. That's a true thing. But I'm very good at just doing the thing anyway. I might turn in circles for an hour first, but I'll do it in the end. And I just get out of my own way. And this is how you need to create. For me, I just hand it over to God. I say, let it be exactly what you would have it be, and let everything else fall to the ground in Jesus' name, amen. And then I just write the thing. And I know I'm put here to speak into the hearts of entrepreneurs, leaders, high-level creators, messengers, those who are called for a purpose and who are called to share a thing in a way that doesn't fit the formula. And I am here for those who are the high-level crazy creators who continually have something to say, who are not just here to say one thing one time and then make it work for the algorithm. Nothing against making things work for the algorithm, I guess. But you know what I mean. I'm here for those who part of what they were put on this earth to do is to express and to share. And it's not to make it fit into whatever the current mold is of online or of, church circles or of people circles or of whichever industry or niche you happen to work in. So I'm here to hold that, mirror up with the words that come through me and the way I teach and the way I coach, to essentially reflect back to you what you already know in your spirit, but maybe you've pushed it down, pushed it aside, made it wrong or bad, or even forgotten. Or maybe you just heard nobody ever say to you before that the way that you wish it could be is the way that it should be, and what you feel inside of you is real. And sure, you might have gone down a bunch of counterfeit or dangerous paths, even like I did, but that doesn't mean that what is inside of you is not real. That just means that, you might have steered it like way off the wrong track at one point in time. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you are made to be extra, fierce, bold, audacious, you see what's not right in the world. You have a desire to say something about it. You seek truth and you found truth. You're still on that journey. No one's ever going to be done. And you just have such a love of creative expression. You may have even lost that love because you might feel like you don't even realize you tried to make yourself fit in the box so much that then you started thinking, I don't want to coach anymore. I don't want to write anymore. I'm done. Maybe, probably not though. Probably you just made yourself jump through a bunch of hoops that were never yours. So I've created Supernatural Creator Academy. It is a brand new, starting on September 16, big deal signature course. It is huge. This is the thing to go all in with me. If you know that you, like me, and like most people who stay in my space for more than a minute, are a high-level crazy creator that can't stop, won't stop type, who has maybe thrown themselves against the wrong wall 1 or 2 times, but ultimately knows that she was put here to pour forth and to create and create and create, and to not have to join the dots in business, in ministry, in life. This is going to start on September 16th. The launch period is on now, and it's $1,000 off during the launch period. That's off the upfront fee. If you do payment plan, the $1,000 off will apply there as well. And right now, if you join between September 3 and 6, you're going to get a bonus one-on-one session. So that's like the, early bird bonus kind of a thing. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. Actually, if you pay up front, if you do the upfront fee, you're going to get another one-on-one as well, so you can kind of stack them up. So Supernatural Creator Academy is the step-by-step guide to making more money faster by unapologetically being who you were put to be and unleashing what's inside of you in a way that just doesn't fit the world, and it's not meant to. What I say here in the tagline is, by being unapologetically and all the way extra you, and finally unleashing the message and the work you're here to shake the world with. This is about finally being ready to go all in on what's inside of you. It's about recognizing that you can't keep following and changing, like trying to chase or adhere to marketing rules and paint by numbers entrepreneur stuff that makes you want to poke your eyeballs out with chopsticks, and deep down inside of you, you know and believe you shouldn't have to. So there's a lot of recognition here that has to happen, and almost like a grief of like, I was never meant to try and do that. And it might not even be, why did nobody tell you? Maybe it is that, but maybe it's like, why have you not chosen sooner to back the truth that you actually know inside of you? And you need to not like be, mean to yourself about that. I do that to myself, and I have to call myself out on it. Like, stop it. Never mind, I could have whatever sooner. This is what I'm choosing today. Today I switch the flick the switch. So what I'm teaching in Supernatural Creator Academy is specifically for my high-level creators who want to be in the consistent flow of unleashing what's inside of them in a way that will never fit the norm. And thank the Lord for that. But you also want to understand how to effectively monetize this, scale it, grow it without having to turn into a paint by numbers printer, because you don't have to. And part of this is obviously believing and accepting that the gifts you've been given are there for a reason, that it's not bad, wrong, selfish, or any other kind of a thing to think that things should work in that way. And actually that while there might be a counterfeit way of doing any different thing that we've been given and that God has put inside of us, there's also a correct and aligned way, and it doesn't involve dialing down who you actually truly are meant to be. It's the opposite. So it's not easy to be the extra person in a world where people are taught in any different people group to be more, conformist and vanilla, basically. And sorry if you like vanilla cupcakes, but it's just my analogy, right? It's not easy. We continually want to adjust ourselves down to make sure we're, being proper. But deep inside of us, we don't want that at all. We want to let the fire out, and we find each other. I hope we do find each other. So this is a place where you'll be supported by me, led by me, coached, guided, held to the fire by me, and many other things beside it. And it is a very deep dive thing that we're doing together. It's a whole academy. It is going to completely change the game for you. This is different to anything I've ever done before, particularly this kind of length and duration. I've done this kind of teaching before in lots of smaller ways. And it is exciting. This one is here for the long haul. It's my new signature course, but right now only is $1,000 off launch sale. So you can go to thekatrinaruthshow.com/supernatural creator academy. You can go read about it. You can also use the link katrinaruthministries.com/supernatural creator academy. Both will go to the same place. So go read about it. thekatrinaruthshow.com/supernatural creator academy. It's a long page. I think it's a page that is going to wake you and excite your spirit. So read it, absorb it. And if it's a yes, right now in the next couple of days is the very best time to join, because you're going to get a whole extra one-on-one bonus. But if you have any questions at all, obviously message me. I would love to talk about it with you. There are some FAQs on the bottom, so maybe those questions will be answered, but you message me, my door is always open. And I'm just excited. I'm excited for the rip the Band-Aid, guns blazing, let's fire things up approach, because it's the approach I know how to do, that's for sure. And sometimes I forget who I am and I start like dialing back and going all mute and pastel, and I'm telling you, it does not work for me when I don't be me. So one thing I have really learned over the years and I've learned to be quite good at is simply being disciplined to be who I actually am. That has resulted in results financially and otherwise that are beyond comprehension and that do not make sense in the online industry either, because I don't really follow any of the rules at any point in time in order to do that, and it's not supposed to work when you don't do that. So I would love to help you with that, and better still, I would love to hold you to the fire of being who you are here to be, because I believe that what is inside of you is there for a reason, that God put it there for a reason, and that it is meant to come out, and that the world needs your gift in the way that it would come filtered through you. So thekatrinaruthshow.com/supernatural creator academy, and I will see you inside. Have a beautiful and amazing rest of the day or evening. Go delete a whole bunch of stuff off your list or out of your mind that you were telling yourself you have to do, which is not true to you being you. And do not forget, life is now. Press play.